All right, we're back with another episode of Destination Hoth. My name is Jedi Dave, alongside
the big mouth on the mic, Daddy Rich.
Daddy Rich.
Daddy Rich, hold it down.
Absolutely. And hey, we're just two simple guys trying to make our way in the universe.
That's right. Well, our wives don't call us simple, but okay.
Yeah, we're complicated.
We're very complicated.
Two complicated guys trying to make our way in the universe.
Yeah, this is a Star Wars podcast show that we do here on YouTube right now, and we got together, and it gives you the best in your Star Wars. What's coming up for Star Wars? What's new in Star Wars? We also talk about sci-fi stories, like anything that deal with Star Wars and sci-fi and comic books and whatever else we feel interesting to talk about that still ties in with Star Wars is really good. This happens with two crazy guys right here. So are you guys ready for the show? Because once again, we got to start off with some couple of stuff to get you interested. But as we're saying, we're two complicated guys.
Two complicated guys.
I don't know why you look weird with a mustache. I'm just looking at it right now. He looks so weird.
It's Movember.
I know. He just look weird.
Got to support the cause. It's all about prostate cancer. Our
who you remind me of? The guy from Anchorman, the Will Ferrell character. Ron Jeremy.
Ron Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy. That's it. I said
Ron Jeremy.
Wrong person. He also have a mustache too, but it's the wrong person.
Ron Jeremy, porn star turned sexual harasser. Yeah, that's who I want to be.
Well,
no, like, you know what I found out today is Jodie. Is it Jodie Comer? Is it Jodie Comer? The woman that was in Free Guy with our Canadian brother Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, she was in. Yeah,
I did not know that she was Rey's mom in Rise of Skywalker.
Was she Rey's mom in Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, she played Rey's mother in the flashback segments for Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
I know. I didn't know that either.
That's
I was
so
like, when
weird.
I found that out, I'm like, that is really cool.
Oh, okay. Well, I have to check that out. On today's show, we're going to talk about Boba Fett. The new Boba Fett show is going to be starting in December the 29th. So we're going to touch on that. It's going to be all about Boba Fett. They dropped a little, biopic, a little, very, very little biopic about a little documentary about Boba Fett for the Disney Plus special. We're also going to touch. We're also going to do that game that we usually do at the end of the near the end of the show. It's called
There Is No Try.
Yeah, and then we're also going to touch on.
No try.
We're also going to talk about a little about Star Wars rumors and not happening movies or are happening movies, and some producers are getting another 3-year under contracts.
Are they not?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. We're also going to touch on Ghostbusters. Now, you might find it weird, but it's actually going to tie in with a Star Wars movie. So hold tight for that. And we're also
there was a good lesson to be learned here.
Yes, and we're also going to touch on Obi-Wan, and the list goes on. So let's start with what's new in Star Wars. Oh, also we have a new cast to the new cast member to the I'm trying to say the person's name. Ahsoka TV show.
The show is Ahsoka, right?
So you want to start with that first?
Yeah, well, look at the show that she's going to be in.
Ahsoka. So let's get into it. So what's new in Star? Sorry, one second. What's new in Star Wars?
What is new?
Go ahead. What is new in Star? Go ahead.
Okay, so Sabine Wren is coming to live action. She's going to be in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And so if anyone remembers, actually, the very first episode we ever did of the show, Daddy Rich and I had a bit of a moment where we could not remember the name Sabine Wren. That was that. So this is kind of a big.
It happens all the time
to
me.
Full circle moment. Yeah. Well, yeah, we're getting older. We're in our 40s, right? So, so they've cast Natasha Leo Bordizzo. Is it Bordizzo? Natasha Leo Bordizzo.
Okay.
To play Sabine Wren. I'm honestly like. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little taken back because I really felt Tia Sakar, who played Sabine Wren, who did the voice for Sabine Wren on Rebels, I felt as an actress like she's perfect to play this part.
Yeah.
And if the rumors are true about who they're casting to play Ezra Bridger, I thought this really presented an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, the guy who was in Aladdin, I think, was it?
Right, and the Canadian boy,
Canadian kid, yeah.
And so, like, the idea of like having a Canadian in the movie obviously is one thing, but someone with Indian descent, you know what I mean? Like, this was an opportunity to bring two characters like that into the storyline.
Yeah.
And of course, the potential of a romantic interest between the two of them, I thought really presented an awesome opportunity. So like, I think the rumors are it's Mina Massoud, right? Who's supposed to be playing Ezra Bridger. I don't know if it's officially confirmed yet. And so Mina, of course, was born in Cairo, and but grew up in Canada. He is a Canadian brother. So this will be the first major character to be played by a Canadian since Hayden Christensen played Anakin Skywalker in Attack of the Clones, and he's going to be coming back too. So yeah, it was exciting. I like I said, I had it in my head that Tia Sakar would be the go-to person.
Yeah.
So it was kind of took me back a little bit, but at the same time, like I support her. I think she's going to be amazing. She's a fantastic actress. So I'm excited to see what she's going to be bringing. She's from Australia, right? So
it's going to be awesome to see what she can do for this character, because the character,
for sure.
And you get to see, like, it's going to be such a eye opener to see this story, what happened, because you remember they both went off looking for Ezra Miller. And we didn't see her in
Ezra Miller.
Wow.
That's the Flash.
Sorry, did they say Ezra Miller?
Ezra Miller, who after filming The Flash and went on to become a Jedi Knight.
No, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So it's going to be interesting to see.
It will be interesting to see. I mean, like I said, there are some people where, Lars Mikkelsen, like I have to see him play Thrawn. Like he does the voice for Thrawn on Rebels. Like I just feel
think
like
he is cast. He is cast for
cast. And so and then Mina Masood, I think will be great as Ezra Bridger. Same thing, right? Like Taylor Gray, who did the voice for Ezra. I just don't know if I see him physically being able to take on that role. Like he looks so different. The way Ashley Eckstein, right? Like Ashley Eckstein is incredible. She is the lifeblood of Ahsoka Tano. But when it came time for her to be in physical form, like Ashley Eckstein might not be the perfect person for that part.
Yeah.
And so they went with Rosario Dawson, who was incredible. And I think that's pretty neat. Like that is sort of the wake of Star Wars too, when you have multiple characters, like you have a character played by multiple people.
Yeah.
Right. Like you have 4 or 5 different names attributed to Boba Fett.
Well, that goes into when we talk about Boba Fett in a bit. We'll touch on that too. But yeah, so that's what's new in Star Wars for that. Also on Disney Plus Day, as most people complain, it wasn't great, but I thought it was good for what they put together. They touched
Disney
on
Plus Day.
Yeah. They touched on the Obi-Wan movie TV show.
Excited.
I was excited about it. It shows some graphic pictures of the characters, what they look like in their costumes. They touched on how
we saw an Inquisitor.
We saw Inquisitor. They touched on
exciting.
The Obi-Wan and Darth Vader meeting up as Darth Vader. And it's going to be interesting. Exciting. Now, the question is for that part is that, because you remember in the first Star Wars New Hope, they kind of said, this is the first time you met, you were the master. Is it though? Like, see, that's the funny thread. Like I'm in the same frame of mind as you, right?
Okay, I agree with you that I always assumed that in A New Hope, or what we originally knew as just Star Wars, that was the first time they had met since Mustafar, right?
Yeah.
But it was never said. It was never officially confirmed. Like, remember Vader says something like, I sense a presence that I haven't felt and then he cuts himself off.
Yeah.
So it's kind of left up in the air when the last time they met was.
Yeah.
And then when he says the last time we met, I was but a learner, but now I'm the master. And then he says only of evil Darth, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, that doesn't necessarily mean like that the last time they met was Mustafar. Like there has to be obviously now another battle between that.
Well, it's true. So it's going to be interesting.
This one, let's be honest though, Daddy Rich, this is going to be off the hook.
Well, yeah, because he's younger. They're both younger. God. So like, it's
what we are about to see might be the greatest lightsaber duel ever.
Yeah, because they're both younger.
And so I'm okay with that. I'm pumped.
But yeah, Hugh McGregor's really good, and he's really spoke about doing this. He said the fans wanted it, so they are getting it, and it's going to be awesome. Awesome to see. All right.
Were you disappointed with Disney Plus Day?
No, I thought it was good. Like you saw some stuff about the She-Hulk. You saw some stuff about Moon Knight. You saw some stuff about Ms. Marvel. But it was great. It was a good idea. Like it wasn't a big production. It was mostly them streaming stuff on social media. Did do some stuff and on Disney Plus. Plus, they were offering a 1-month subscription for $1.99, so $2. You can get a 1 month's, like, you can't go wrong with that. So I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. People were kind of like, we didn't see too much of Star Wars. They didn't do too much of this and this and that. But
there was whining. Yeah,
there was a lot of whining.
You know what? I think the reason you and I weren't disappointed is we grew up in a very different generation.
Yeah.
Right. We grew up with, what do they have for us?
Yeah.
Right.
What are they gonna
it was
give?
almost like what do you got for us? What do you got for us?
Yeah.
We never accumulated expectation and formulated ideas in our head of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
We accepted what it was.
Yeah.
And I mean, we didn't grow up we read choose your own adventure books,
Yeah.
but we didn't actually believe that translated to the films and movies and TV shows that we watched. Right. So
true.
Right now, but we have a different culture. Like a lot of people are growing up and watching a television show where they can vote on who gets kicked off and who stays.
Yeah.
So they have this idea that they can come up with their fan fiction and their own marketing ideas. And then if that doesn't happen, then they don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't my product. I didn't pay $4 billion for Star Wars. I don't have $4 billion.
Yeah.
So I'm going to watch what they've got for me and I'll take it. And I mean, some stuff I dislike, some stuff I don't. But Disney Plus Day, I really didn't. I had hopes to see an Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. I had hopes to see a new Boba Fett trailer, but I was okay with what happened.
Well,
I liked what I got.
There was some stuff that they were missing, like for like the new Star Wars TV series about the dark side. They could have touched on that.
Oh,
they have, but mind you, they
Yeah.
haven't really did any filming for it.
For sure.
Also, they could have touched a little bit. Definitely, they could probably touch on that spin-off of a prequel. What's his name? You know what I'm talking about. It's about how the whole Empire, how the whole Rebels started, in a sense, with this character. They showed a trailer last time.
Andor.
Andor, yes. They didn't show any Andor.
It's gonna be great.
It would have been awesome to see that too, because they, But once again, there's still time for them to do that. There's not till next year if we get anything new other than Boba Fett. They could have touched on Mandalorian, like we could have saw a little something on Mandalorian, but
coulda, woulda, shoulda.
But I mean, I'm happy with the situation. So
exactly.
But that was your Star Wars. What's new in Star Wars? There's something else. Go ahead.
Rogue One or Rogue Squadron. So
but that's not that's not new. That's
sort of new.
That's gossip. But okay, I was going to.
It is
okay,
gossip.
so
do you think
let's.
It's legit? Do you think it's legit?
So okay. So let's get out of what's new in Star Wars. Let's get into gossip in Star Wars. So, well,
Patty Jenkins
has
been rumored to have her Rogue Squadron film temporarily shelved or just for the time being put aside.
That's true.
And
I think
the rumors are that it's creative differences. But what has officially been announced is that there was scheduling differences.
Well, and now this is really going into, do we have the right producer for Star Wars? Now, I'm not. No, producer.
It's a different producer. Like,
well, no,
she's directing, right?
No, she's directing it. Now I'm talking about the head producer of Star Wars, the person who, Patty Jenkins. Is it Patty Jenkins?
Oh, Kathleen Kennedy.
Kathleen Kennedy, who is the be all of Star Wars. She is she's like
handpicked by
George Lucas is the major person for Star Wars.
And a name that's been attached to every project involving our childhood.
Now let's break it down. Let's go in the classroom of Star Wars right now, the new Star Wars series.
Okay.
Now with the Kathleen Kennedy storyline is that she's an amazing producer. She's great. She's like number one. She's on my list. She's top. Some of the movies that you can throw out for a list of what she did, she's up there. She's amazing. Now,
I would have picked her to run Star Wars and Lucasfilm.
I would have picked her too.
Right.
Now, positive, that's all the positive. Now, let's go to the negative side. Now, she already has some issues with some directors, say for the director of the series there.
For Solo?
Not for Solo. Well, I can touch on Solo. Before Solo, there was Rogue One. Rogue One, the director was kicked off. Gareth Edwards was kicked off, brought back, et cetera, et cetera. There were some issues with the whole thing with that. Then she had some issues with with Solo, where she sat down with these. Now, once again, you're the producer of this big movie company, Star Wars, and Kevin Feige is doing an amazing job with his directors. Once you sit down with them, you say, "This is the idea we have for Marvel. This is where we're going with Marvel, and this is where we want to be with Marvel. So your story is going to fit into this, right? So you're coming in as a director, saying, "Okay, yeah, I agree with this idea. The idea for the story looks good. We can do it, and we'll put it in your packet. We'll do it your way." Now with the Solo thing, it kind of went off the track. It's mostly due to people who were on Solo. Some people had to leave. They had to reshoot almost the whole thing. It was just so much different because it was more of a comedy than what Kathleen Kennedy wanted. So
Right.
she had issues with most of her directors who she hired. Even the last Star Wars movie, Skywalker story was completely different from what JJ had to do to bring it back in, right? She
Right.
had some issues with those directors. Now, not only that, there was supposed to be a Old Republic TV series or movie series done by one of the hottest directors in TV right now, was from Game of Thrones. We're going to do it.
Right.
And now somehow they are not going to be doing it. They are been put on hold or whatever the situation is. So now the question is, she just got signed for another 3-year term with her contract to go on being producer. Now that's the negative side. Now the positive side, she did bring Mandalorian to Disney Plus. She did brought back Rebels. She did, there was
Finished
finished Clone Wars. She brought back some positive stuff to the whole thing. Now the question is she doing something wrong where she can't sit down? Once you sit down with these directors, and then all of a sudden they start filming what she wants to do, and then all of a sudden they go somewhere else, and she's like, no, that's not what I want.
So let me say, okay, like I'm going to say one thing first, and then I'm going to ask you a question.
All right,
okay. So once again, like, is this is just simply a rumor that this might be going on?
It's not.
Like,
Well, no, it's not. It's not
no
a rumor.
confirmation that there's conflict with Kennedy.
Yeah, there's no conflict. It's more or less stated that they scheduling. So that is the thing. So
let me think of this though. Like, and this is what I'm going to ask you. So
all right, go ahead.
What did you think of Solo?
Solo was a great movie. I like the fact
Love the movie.
they brought a great director. That's
One?
me. Rogue One was a great movie, but
And
they did bring the director back.
So with her decisions though, whatever she has done, they've rendered the right results.
But
right, and I think this is the thing. Like, as far as producers go, they're all like this. Like, think of how many times. Remember when Kevin Smith was talking about a Superman movie that was going to be made, and the producers wanted a giant spider, and they wanted Superman in this, like, whatever. Like, the whole thing was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I remember when Daredevil was being produced, and like Mark Steven Johnson, who directed Daredevil, got slammed for the way that the Daredevil movie looked.
Yeah.
And yet all the ideas that were bad were actually the producers' ideas, right?
But
this happens a lot with film and television, where the producers kind of get into it too much and they get involved too much. But then at the same time, when they stood back and they allow for directors to have complete creative freedom, sometimes it kind of doesn't work out either.
And well, but once again, let's go back to the dark side of it. Like, if you look at Kevin Feige, he understands his directors. All these directors who have been directing, like, maybe one incident with Kevin Feige, and it was Ant-Man. And it was supposed to be the guy who did Baby Driver was originally supposed to do Ant-Man, and they kind of something happened. But other than that, most of these directors who they got for Ant-Man, for the Avengers, all this were all new directors. Other than what's his name, who did the first two Avengers, Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon.
Other than that, they were all new directors. Like he got the proper director for Black Panther. He got the proper director for Shang-Chi. He got the proper director for Scarlett Johansson movie. Like, they're all great actors in their. Great directors
that were used. And if you think of the directors that were used for the episodes of The Mandalorian, like, they're all great.
But that wasn't her. That wasn't her.
And that was a different production company. So that's what I was going to say. Like, maybe having someone like Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni kind of overseeing Star Wars might be a better or smarter way to go.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because if you look at the fact that they understand the directors, and Kevin Feige, once again, it goes back to Kevin Feige. He's understanding his directors, but the directors are also understanding his storyline that he's trying to bring to the fans out there of Marvel. And with Kevin Feige, he gives the trust to the director. He gives the understanding to the director. He said, "Listen, this is your baby."
I like that word that you used. That word that you used is perfect. Like, she needs to just trust people.
But that's what I'm saying. There's so much. And once again, I'm not saying that she's not a great executive producer.
Oh, no.
She's amazing.
Her resume speaks for itself.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I think for this role for her, should they give her 3 more years? She did brought money back. She did some great stuff with Mandalorian.
I would keep her intact. Like, I would keep her as part of the group and the overseer of it all. But maybe allow for her to step back a little bit more and kind of allow for someone like Filoni or Favreau to kind of oversee. Because like I think the thing is with someone like Dave Filoni, someone like Jon Favreau, even someone like when Ron Howard would directed Solo, like you're looking at people, even with like when you watch the movies like J.J. Abrams directing his film or Rian Johnson directing those films, like Gareth Edwards, you can see that those are clearly made by people who are fans of the original Star Wars.
Yes,
like they grew up there.
I do agree
age.
with you. That.
They know what they're doing, and not that Kathleen Kennedy doesn't, but you got to trust that the people you hired to direct your film know what they're doing and step back.
Well,
and this has actually been the problem with movies all the time. Like I actually just watched a documentary on Back to the Future, and the producer wanted Eric Stoltz to be Marty McFly, right?
Yeah,
and they filmed for 5 weeks. They filmed with Marty McFly, and Bob Gale and Bob Zemeckis went back and said, "Look, like this is not our guy. Like you said, if it wasn't working out, we would be allowed to start over and do it the right way with Michael J. Fox, which is who we wanted."
Yeah.
And so the producer said, "All right, fine. I think you're making a terrible mistake, and you'll see that you're making a terrible mistake." And the movie ended up being a huge success.
Yeah.
And I think so. Like history shows that producers always get in the way of what they're supposed to do. And
really, do you think
she's doing what a lot of people do? But you're right. Marvel, like the Disney aspect of Marvel actually has made the right choices over the last few years because they put someone in charge to keep everything intact, right?
Yeah.
But remember what Marvel was like before that, when Dolph Lundgren was the Punisher.
Yes. Okay, I know,
right?
I know.
So like, there's a learning curve, and there's like they're gonna learn. Before,
all right,
it was easy because George Lucas just oversaw everything.
Yeah, it's so true.
But now you have to try to find the right person.
Yeah.
I honestly, Filoni to me is the be all and end all. Like he was personally groomed by George Lucas, so he understands.
But we want to know your opinion. If you feel like if we are right, feel free to
if it's true,
drop a comment down at the bottom. Also, you can always email us. We love to hear from you. Once again, that's destinationhoth@gmail.com. That's destinationhoth@gmail.com. Or you can hit up our Twitter,
Hoth Podcast.
All right. That was a very, I was getting kind of heated. But yes, so let's get into it. Now we're going to do a quick review of Ghostbusters. This
is a Daddy Rich request. And
of course, it ties in with ties in with Star Wars. We're going to get into Ghostbusters, a brand new movie directed by Jason. I'm gonna say that. I'm just telling you. It's called Ghostbuster Afterlife. It's a continuation of the last movie was Ghostbusters 2, so a continuation of Ghostbuster. Now, a lot of movies. The only movie that I could say that did an amazing job with doing a continuation is The Force Awakens, Star Wars, where they brought back the old characters that we fell in love with and brought in some new characters that we fell in love with. So, with this Ghostbusters movie, it is a remake. Not a remake. We're going to talk about that, but it is a movie that is directed with love because it was directed by the son of the last two Ghostbuster movies, Jason Reitman. And his father,
and of course, his dad being Ivan Reitman.
Ivan Reitman, good Canadian, both Canadian boys, good Canadian guys. Yeah. And his Jasons. And so, once again, it was a great movie. Now, there's going to be some spoilers in there. If you haven't seen the Ghostbusters movie yet, get ready. Countdown 1, 2, 3. Spoiler time. So how it starts off is you start off with Egon. Now, you know the character who played Egon passed away in 2019.
Right.
Was it 2019 or was it 2000?
I'll double check that.
I think it was 2015, maybe 2015. He passed away. Well, he's going to double check it. I started off with him in a small town. Well, it's not a small town. A small town. He's on a farm and he's out in the middle of nowhere. And the whole story starts from there, where he more or less got killed by, guess who's back? Gozer. And so the story starts off with that, with his daughter in the city, New York, and she's, didn't have much money. She's going to get kicked out of her house, but she found out her father passed away. So her and the two kids go back to Egon's house and to find out about what happened to him and all that. And that's where the adventure starts, where the kids start noticing all the Ghostbusters gear. One of them found a PKA meter. One found the Ghostbusters car themselves. Very beautiful car.
Her older son, Trevor, is played by another Canadian, Finn Wolfhard.
Big up the kin,
right?
Canadian,
right? And her younger daughter, Phoebe is played by
She was in Handmaid's Tale.
Grace. Yeah. Why am I not remembering her
She
name
was
all
in
of a sudden?
Handmaid's Tale. She was in. She's amazing. Her career is gonna be awesome.
She is going to be huge. Yeah, absolutely.
She was.
Phenomenal actress. Like
She's amazing. Amazing
you're watching
actress.
this and you're like, I can't act like
She was
that.
on
Like
Young Sheldon.
that's impressive.
She was on Young Sheldon. She's such a great. She was in Annabelle Come Home. She was in.
Oh, all of those movies.
She plays a young young Carol Danvers from Captain Marvel.
She was in
Sabrina.
The Mike Flanagan show. She's been in the Mike Flanagan show on Netflix.
She's been in the Haunting of Hill House, and she was also in Ready Player One too. So
right, McKenna Grace.
Yeah,
that's her name.
And she plays a young Emma in Once Upon a Time. She's amazing. Goes on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Oh, it was 2014, by the way.
2014, yeah. So he passed away. So they get into that story and they start finding stuff, and then they find out that Gozar is coming back, and this is the town where the whole thing of the last 1984 movie started with, and they brought back the man who we thought was dead, who actually started to build that apartment building in New York City at the time, who was played by
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons for like
J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, for a second. And
it was like
it's like, you're back.
Did he win? I think this is like an Academy Award nominated actor. He's in it for like.
The funny thing there he is, J.K. Simmons. Yeah, he was in there for like a second, and they got rid of him. They got rid of him real quick. Another person who was surprisingly in this role too, Dan Aykroyd's daughter.
Who did she play?
She's in it too. Dan Aykroyd's daughter had a little cameo in it. They did it kept the family. She played deputy. She played the deputy in the Deputy Jack.
Is that his and oh my gosh, the woman that was in Bosom Buddies.
Bosom Buddies.
Didn't he marry her?
I can't remember who he married.
Oh my goodness! Hold on a second. Hold on. Anyway, so continue. Yeah. I'll look it up.
So it starts up with the kids trying to figure out what's going on. All these strange things are happening. They found the trap that Egon had, and in the trap there was one of the gatekeepers, or gatekeeper or keymaster. One of the ones was in that trap, and they let it go. And this when the whole thing starts. Now. It really touched on throughout the movie. You felt all the little ties to the Ghostbuster movies, Ghostbuster 1 and Ghostbuster 2. They touched on little things that make you get a little, oh my god, and it was just amazing. And then they add some new stuff with the gunner seat in Ecto 1. That was so cool. I was like, a gunner seat?
Oh, it was so
And
cool.
They had the little car
that was
thing
there before.
What?
That was there before.
Was it the gunner seat? I don't remember.
Yeah, in the second movie, I think.
Was in the second movie? I have to go back and watch the second movie.
Sure.
But once again, it was a really great movie with that, and then it give you the sentimental thing where they let's jump to the head. At the end of the whole thing, they actually had the old cast came back. In Ghostbusters, like you had Winston, you had Ray, and you had Peter Venkman, all came back to say, "Hey, we're back. You remember us?" And then that one line that I love, where as Gozer is like, "Are you a god?"
Yeah.
And he looked at and Ray's like, kind of still not sure. And then he looked at Winston. Winston's like, and Ray's like, "Yeah, we're gods. Of course we're gods." And it was amazing how they did that. And they came together, put the streams together, didn't work. And then at the end, Egon came back. And that part I actually... some dust got in my eye at that part in the scene. It was very dusty in the theater. I started tearing up a little bit because it was just they did a really good job with the Egon's ghost. Like you really honestly thought that was really him there. Like if there was the idea that was really him.
Honestly, like I think, by the way, you're right. The actress was Stella Aykroyd, so she's Dan Aykroyd, and Donna Dixon from Bosom Buddies. She played Sunny.
Oh, awesome!
So Dan Aykroyd and Donna Dixon got married like back in the '80s, and they're still together, as far as I know. It's pretty impressive. But that's their daughter. I think I'm impressed with it, and honestly, Dan Aykroyd's from Ottawa, right? So that's pretty cool.
He was in Ottawa recently, actually. Somebody bumped into him.
I think for me, like this was clearly, I hate the term fan service. You know that I cannot stand the term fan service. Either you're making a good movie or you're making a bad movie.
Yeah.
And if you're making a good movie, chances are it's for people who like this product.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm making a movie called Ghostbusters Afterlife, then I'm probably wanting Ghostbuster fans to enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
So I want to put stuff in there that Ghostbuster fans are going to go, yep, that's Ghostbusters. Yeah, I know what that is. Yep, that I can. And so when people say fan service, I'm like, so is your goal to then make movies that fans are not going to enjoy? Because that's not anything. I don't know. That's bad business.
Yeah.
But from the first note of the score in this movie, I was hooked.
Yeah.
Like you hear the music, and even though it's a completely different composer, you're like, the music gets you right away, and you're soaked in. Like oh my goodness, like as with McKenna Grace, who plays Phoebe, she's perfect. Like the way she plays this character, she remind
me of Egon.
Yeah. And like not in the sense though where she's like impersonating Egon,
no,
or she's trying to do a variation of Egon. If I'm sitting there thinking like what Egon's granddaughter would be like, this is it. Like
you look at any other kid, like if for your kids, like you look at it as like, this is what Dave's kids would be like. Sorry, Jedi Dave.
And like I think what I'm gonna get emotional thinking about it again, because like I got emotional throughout the whole movie. I really did.
It was just
because to me, like I heard some critics say there was no story to this movie, and I don't understand. If there's no story to this movie, then there's no story to any movie. Like there's such an easy story to follow here, which is about legacy and family. And the idea that you have a grandchild that is sitting there obsessed with science, feels out of place, doesn't feel like they fit in with other kids at school because she's significantly smarter than those other kids. Right. And the other kid that she becomes friends with another kid named Podcast, who has this podcast that nobody listens to.
No, he had one. He had one.
But let's not spoil the whole movie.
Okay.
So, you already told me the end of the movie.
Spoilers.
But like the idea though is that like all of these kids, like even when you look at her older brother, right? Like Finn Wolfhard plays Trevor. Yeah. Trevor's like an older brother, and he's flirting with the girl named Lucky, who doesn't really like him. Like she doesn't seem overly interested in him. All the kids are making fun of him for hitting on this girl. You know what I mean? Like they all don't fit in. Like they all have a sense that they don't belong. And then of course, like you find out that Lucky, as cool as she is actually like the sheriff's daughter. So she kind of doesn't fit in either, because no one wants to hang out with the sheriff's daughter.
Yeah.
So like all four of these people are complete outcasts, and they don't have a sense of belonging, which if you remember Ghostbusters, that's what it was. Like Peter Venkman was was the only person who looked like he got some had some game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like he was flirting with girls, he was doing whatever, like Jennifer Runyon when he was doing like the little shock treatment thing. And then you've got but the other three kids, like the other three people, you have two scientists who are just super nerds and probably have no other friends other than Peter Venkman.
Yeah.
And then Winston, who comes in, right? And he's just
job. I'll believe anything.
Yeah, oh my god, man, like it's they are like what I would expect those four adults to be as when they're kids.
It goes back to what we're saying when they released the women. I hate to say women's Ghostbusters, but when they released that Ghostbuster movie with
the 2016 Ghostbusters.
2016. I don't know why I say women Ghostbusters. We remember we had this talk about how they should have just continue the story. And at the time, they had such great actresses that they could have. The
formula was flawless.
Yeah, the movie was a great movie.
Kevin, what was it like? It was Feig, Paul Feig.
Paul Feig.
Paul Feig directed the movie, who did Bridesmaids, which is an incredible instant classic.
Yeah.
He had directed episodes of The Office. Like, you know what I mean? Like these, like you had 3 to 4 cast members who were
SNL
people from SNL, which is exactly what the original was like. Like there was nothing about this that wasn't Ghostbusters, except that it wasn't Ghostbusters.
It didn't tie into Ghostbusters.
Exactly. Like, and you were right. Like, Daddy Rich had the best idea ever, which was when we saw the movie in 2016. It was, why not make them the daughters of the original Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
Right. So it just to continue that legacy, to continue that storyline from that original,
or even the boy, even that little kid, that little baby that Peter was like, "You're ugly, no one likes you." He could have been like one of the kids. Like they could have did something with it something that would have pleased the audience.
Not necessarily please, but
I mean, please the fan.
You as a fan are invested in the original concepts. Like I will say this, like look, another example of this is Child's Play.
Yes.
Right? Like
what's in the movie?
The remake of Child's Play that came out a couple years ago was actually a very good movie.
It was.
but wasn't Chucky. That's not Child's Play. That's not the story. There's no
Yeah.
voodoo. There's no
It's a robot.
right. There's no serial killer. There's no like, because the one thing, like, I've been watching, because my son's 14 now, so we've been watching all the Child's Play stuff because he loves the show Chucky.
Oh, he's
right?
watching Chucky. He's been watching Chucky.
Oh, he's watching Chucky.
Oh,
It's
it's
from
awesome.
Toronto,
Yeah.
right? So like, we're all pumped about supporting something local.
Yeah.
And
now I have to
the
watch
show,
Chucky now.
the show continues from the movies.
Oh,
And
really?
the movies all remained intact with each other. There is nothing like all the same people, all
Yeah.
like it's and yet there's a new storyline with new characters and new kids.
Yeah.
But there's the concept of Child's Play that made it so core was not just that there's a psycho doll killing people. It's that nobody believes you when you tell them the doll killed people. You're taking the fall for it.
well,
And so that's not in the new Child's Play.
but I mean, like the bottom line is that the movie was put together with heart,
With
coming
love.
with love, coming from a spot where he was a kid watching this. He's actually was on the sets of Ghostbuster movies with his dad, and he decided to bring back something that his dad wanted, and it turned out that for my opinion, and it turned out that it was a great movie that I enjoyed, that I teared up, that I think I can pop into or watch again and over again. Just to get that idea of them, and they also, now spoilers right here. There's 2 ending credits. The first ending credits was, I won't spoil that one for you, but there is
You
one.
already told him the end of the movie.
Whatever.
But yeah,
I won't spoil that one for you. But at the end of the last credit, when the last credit comes back, you got
You have to stay.
You have to stay. You get Winston comes back with Ecto 1. And because he was the man who actually fixed up Ecto 1. He was the mechanic, other than Ray. But he was more the mechanic on an Ecto. And he's like, baby, when he saw her, he's like, I'll take you home.
Drove the car, man. It's his car.
Yeah. So he took the car back. And he's a successful businessman. He made some money. But the ending, he drove. There's a guy in the car.
With
We don't know
Janine.
with Janine. We don't know who's in the car. But at the end, he's like, "You're home," and then he opened the door and you see the Ecto 1 come in, and then downstairs in the basement where you have the containment unit, it start flashing, beep, beep,
Boom.
beep,
And in one
right there,
second,
sequel.
you're excited about the future of this franchise.
Now all those, every time I go to Fan Expo, I can see those Ghostbusters guys going, "Yes, sequel." And if this better have a sequel, It's like it's like not as good as Dune. I don't know. Well,
It's not as good as Dune.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
I love this movie.
It's such a. They're both Dune,
Okay.
and I have to give both a good thumb for me for movie wise.
Yeah.
Coming out with my wife and my little sister, we all enjoyed the movie, and
You
my
felt
wife.
better watching
My wife was like
Ghostbusters
going
afterward.
like this, hiding her
Yeah.
eyes sometimes and stuff like that. And they're both like, "Oh my god!" But I mean, that
There was a
Ghostbusters.
woman sobbing in the theater too. There was like when we went, we could hear this woman crying at the front.
It was such a great feeling movie.
Yep.
So I think if they hopefully do a sequel to this movie, I'm giving it 2 thumbs up for now. Once again, Winston, he said it at the end. He's always been a Ghostbusters, and it's going to be fun to bring Winston back again with a new group of Ghostbusters. Bring back the little girl. Bring back a new group of Ghostbusters.
And that's
to
the cool
take
thing too,
on
because
the
there was
bad
such a
evil out
delay.
there.
Yeah, well, because there was such a delay in the release of this movie, a lot of those people have grown up more.
Yeah.
Like McKenna Grace is like what, 17, 18 years old
18,
now.
Yeah.
Right. And then like Finn Wolfhard's like 19. Like you've got, I mean, I don't know what the actual ages of these kids are, but like you've got 4 kids that by the time they decide to make a sequel to this movie, they could be in their 20s.
Yeah.
And you could legit bring them to New York City.
She can go be going to university in New York City, and she's like, "Hey,
yes,
we need." Oh my God,
Yes.
this is a story right there. This is a story. All right,
Yes.
we talked about Ghostbusters. I'm
Yes.
recommending to go see Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's a great movie. I give it 2 thumbs up for this movie. It's a movie that you'll come out with if you're a Ghostbuster fan. You come out with love. If you're not a Ghostbuster
or a fan of just fun movies.
great movie to bring your family to. Give love. 2 thumbs. What do you give them?
Oh, 3 thumbs up. I will say this, and like you and I were talking about this earlier, it teaches you the value of continuing a story as opposed to remaking a story.
Yeah, and let's go back to stuff Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. Like, and you know what? Like JJ, I felt that's what he did with Force Awakens. Like you're like exactly what you said. Like he could have rebooted or he could have done something. And like Force Awakens is kind of like 25% a reboot, and 75% a sequel.
Yeah,
right. It's they call the sequel trilogy, but it's also the revamp to get you into the next stage of Star Wars storylines.
Yeah, and that's what the Ghostbusters did.
Exactly.
That's what I feel like Jason did. Jason's like, okay, well, here you go. This is what
For the
fans were
first like
asking.
30 minutes, like you're following Phoebe, you're following Trevor, you're following Podcast, you're following Lucky, and I'm watching these 4 kids, and I didn't miss the original cast. Like,
No, I didn't. I love podcasts.
Exactly.
Podcasts
I
are my
would have
favorite.
watched those 4 kids for their entire movie, and then so when you do get that treat when they finally make their appearance, you're just like, yes, like it's like it wasn't even like you were like, I didn't even think about them. I put them out of my head because I was enjoying the cast so much and I was enjoying the movie, and then it's like it couldn't get any better. Boom. Hey, Flat Top, did you miss us? Boom. We're like, like you're right. Like it was like I was so pumped. Like oh my god. I when I saw Dune, I felt I had seen something like that I had never seen before.
Yeah.
I felt like I was watching something that had just taken cinema to another level.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited about where the story goes in the next movie. I think it's the best movie I've seen of the year.
All right.
However,
but
with Ghostbusters Afterlife, I fell in love with this movie.
Aww.
Like I want. When I came out of Dune, I was like, I could see that again. When I came out of Ghostbusters Afterlife, I'm like, I'm owning that movie.
That's like, a movie
that's going on my shelf.
That's
and I'm watching it.
Yeah. It's love. It felt like
now Ghostbusters is officially a trilogy now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. It is.
It is officially a trilogy.
We want to know your opinion. Feel free to drop a comment down in the comment section right there, or send us email at Destination Hoth, destinationhoth@gmail.com. Send it there, and we'll love to get your big stories. And also you can check us out on our Twitter too, Destination Hoth on Twitter.
D Hoth Podcast.
All right, we're done with the Ghostbusters. Let's move into our last topic that we are raving about because I just watched it. I'll let you start off with it. Go ahead.
Our love letter for Boba Fett. I think we're, you know what, this is a subject that I'm surprised we haven't done earlier.
No,
because Boba Fett is that character that everyone loves.
Yes.
And when we were kids, I couldn't have told you why. Like
he was a villain. He was a quiet cowboy. It was the
mystery behind that character.
Yeah, we didn't know who he was. It was just he was like, when he was there, I know disintegration. You're like, he's gonna blow people up.
Ooh. What kind of badass
Who's
is this guy? He
like
disintegrates people.
Yeah, like now, if you guys don't know,
Vader has to rein him back. Vader reining back?
if you guys don't know, Boba Fett was created was a created character in the Christmas special as a cartoon version. That's the first time you saw him. All right,
that's the first time we saw him.
That's the first time.
But when I watched that documentary that they had on Disney, I did not realize that he actually debuted in a parade.
Yes, he did.
Us Canadians did not get to see that parade.
It was in Lucas small town that he's where Lucas Ranch is, and they had a Christmas parade, and he said, hey, let's get some of the costumes from Empire Strikes Back. And he's like, people didn't know who Boba Fett was, but everyone was loving it. They loved the costume. They loved the whole idea.
He looks amazing.
Yeah, so they brought him in, and but it was a character that they were designing. They were talking about making him. They were also talking about the T shape, because if you look at his helmet, he had like a T shape.
The T visor.
T visor. And it was something that they created, and it was white.
It was all white.
It was all white first.
He was supposed to be a stormtrooper.
Supposed to be a stormtrooper, but then they
switched. So they were going to make multiple costumes,
but they were too expensive.
Too expensive, which seems to be the go-to story for Star Wars.
Yeah,
because like remember Return of the Jedi, where they were going to have like all the Wookiees on Kashyyyk, and then they couldn't afford it, so they made Ewoks.
Yeah,
right. So you end up being introduced to a whole new species or character in Star Wars because of money constraints.
Yeah.
So so you have. They made the prototype costume in white, and then because it was going to be a new kind of stormtrooper, but they couldn't make any more, so they just stuck with the one costume and then dirtied it up.
They sprayed it. He sprayed the whole costume silver, and then he sprayed the color.
That sounds familiar.
So the whole costume, the whole costume was
Mandalorian.
So they sprayed the costume silver, and then they sprayed paint over it, and they did some more work on to make it battle damage. Like he used like a real. Battle damage.
Some shit.
Been through some stuff. So they did that with the whole situation, and then the character was introduced in Empire Strikes Back.
You're right about the
holiday special, but really introduced
Boba Fett and B. Arthur were the two best things about the holiday special.
But he was a quiet cowboy-looking kind of bounty hunter. Yeah, because originally they were like trying to figure out, say, hey, let's make him a bounty hunter. So he now is a bounty hunter.
They had like Forlom, Zuckuss, IG-88, Bossk and
Yeah.
Boba Fett,
Boba
and you're
Fett.
like, and all of your attention gravitates, and Dengar, and all of your attention gravitates to Boba Fett.
Yeah,
You're
and
like,
they talked about how they wanted to use a kind of give that cowboy kind of feel with when he walks with the
Spurs. Oh,
and it was kind of cool. They talked about that. They talked about how he's a character that didn't say many words. He had like maybe 3 words,
3 lines.
three lines out of the
As
whole
you
series.
wish.
As you wish, or something like that. It was
For
very
Captain Solo in the cargo.
yeah.
hold.
It was 3, but he was in.
He's no good to me.
but
dead.
he's in there.
Best lines.
He's been in there like so many
Best
times.
lines.
And it was
you're
done.
Right, he's got 3 lines, and they're like the best lines in the movie.
The cute thing, the cutest. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, but the cute factor is that it was played by a British actor who
Jeremy Bulloch.
Oh, such a nice man. Like him, and then him and his wife went on tours,
Maureen.
and it was so beautiful to talk. She sat back and talk about the whole thing. You
Did
met
you get
Boba
to
Fett,
meet him?
didn't you?
We met.
I didn't
Jeremy
met him.
Bulloch
I
and
never.
Maureen.
I never met. Boba
Okay,
Fett.
so I'm gonna give you my wife's words.
Okay.
Right, a perfect gentleman,
Yeah.
and the kind of person you kind of pictured a butler, like just so distinguished and intelligent and sophisticated and charismatic. He's just such a nice, gentle man. Like I don't
But
like he's a gentleman.
But it didn't look like that when he had that helmet on and
Oh.
all his positioning and all his
Well, do you remember like
turns.
the other character that he played in Empire?
Well, yeah,
where
he was
he
like,
grabbed Leia
yeah, and tried to
and
block
uses
her.
her as a
Shield.
shield.
Yeah,
Not
and
at all
But he
what
was
Jeremy
also
Bulloch
in.
would
He
do
was
in
also
real life.
Revenge. He was also in Revenge of
Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, you're right.
He
As
was
a
also
pilot,
their
right.
pilot too. So he had a couple of scenes.
Just he was an amazing human
He's
being.
amazing
And I
human being. He
honestly,
was
like,
so cool, and he was on set for Attack of the Clones, where you have a picture
Yeah.
with the 3 Boba Fett's.
Oh,
It was so cool.
what a great picture.
It was
of
3
Daniel
Boba.
Logan, Tamir Morrison,
3
and-
Boba
and
Fetts.
Jeremy Bulloch.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
so awesome to see that. They touched on the story about Boba Fett, how he plays I want you to call me father, and I'll call you, and I'll call
for
you
Attack of the
son.
Clones.
Yeah, Attack
Well,
of those.
before we even get to that, like Empire, and then they talk about Return of the Jedi, right? And
Yeah.
then like
the
and how
Starlight
they had
Pit.
a
You
couple
stunt-
different guys
stunt
come in to
doubles.
put the costumes. You're right.
Yeah.
But I think Jeremy was still in that movie though.
He was still in the movie, but it was mostly
Right.
for the scenes where he's flying around with a
Where
jetpack
it's to
and
drop
stuff like
into the
that.
Sarlacc
yeah.
pit. And
Yeah, so they
I
had
think as Star Wars fans, like, but that was where like Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, where we had that initial love, that like immediate love for Boba Fett, because he was so mysterious. He seemed like such a badass. He had cool weapons. He had a rocket pack. I didn't even notice though until I saw that documentary that you could hear the spurs when in that dinner scene where Vader's like, "Come in and join us," you know, like,
You
and
can
then,
hear
like,
it.
I never noticed.
I never
the
noticed
spurs.
Spurs.
And so like that was, I mean, but when you're a kid, you're like, I mean, I was 6 years old and in a movie theater watching Empire Strikes Back. Like I was just like, Vader, right? Like I didn't even recognize Boba Fett the first time I saw the movie, because it was all about Darth Vader blocking.
But you remember
blaster shots with
we
his
heard
hand.
that Spears in Mandalorian, and we're like,
Mandalorian,
is that
exactly.
Boba Fett? I don't.
Oh,
It's got to be Boba Fett. And
It's
we're
gotta be Boba
we're like
Fett.
sick. We're like, it's a Spurs.
so yeah, okay. So at the end of Return of the Jedi, you're convinced that he died, right?
Yeah.
He drops. To
They
the
still
Sarlacc
haven't
pit.
talked how he got out. Hopefully, we'll touch on it.
I think we know he got out.
Yeah, but we don't know
He's
how.
a bad mother, and like he blew that place up. So I think so anyway, so you go, then the next time you see Boba Fett isn't until Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
So and then all of a sudden there's a little bit of the curtain pulled back, right? So you have that initial stage where the man of mystery that died on Tatooine in the Sarlacc pit. Wait a minute, he was a clone, right? And then you find out the
Yes.
cool thing about this was like Django Fett, right? The
Yeah.
name alone was amazing because of the old bounty hunter movies where they had like an African American bounty hunter and his name was Django.
Yeah.
And then they made and of course oh my god, Quentin Tarantino remade the Django story into Django Unchained, right?
Yeah.
So that was the initial inspiration to have a bounty hunter named after this African American bounty hunter that the movies had come out, I think, in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
So Django Fett is this badass bounty hunter who has been hired to kill Padme.
Yeah.
And of course, he outsources to Zam Wessel and whatever,
Yeah.
right? But like, and then he asks for he became the template for the entire clone army. So we had always heard about the Clone Wars without knowing exactly what they were. And as much as people loved the expanded universe novels, I did not. I was never a fan of the expanded universe novels. I liked characters from expanded universe. So I loved Thrawn. I loved Mara Jade.
Never know, you might bring her
Rook
back
and stuff. Right. And I did not like a lot of the ideas. Like I hated what they did with Palpatine. I hated what they did with Owen Lars being Obi-Wan's brother. Like there was just some stupid ideas there. Like I didn't like everything that I didn't like it. So anyway, but they had the idea with Jasper Muriel, or was it Jasper Muriel or whatever was the name of Boba Fett? Like that was his real name. But so all of a sudden when you saw Attack of the Clones, the idea that he was the first clone, that perfect unaltered clone of Django Fett.
He grew up normal.
And then of course we find out later that there's another. There is another, right? And there's Omega, who is also
a perfect clone.
A clone. So like you have, which I guess essentially is Boba Fett's sister, right?
Yeah, I guess if she's, it'd be cool to see if she
they're
pops.
all kind of family in their sense, right?
But the question is, would she ruin it if she pops up in the Boba Fett series?
Would that ruin it?
No, I mean because we haven't finished the.
If we haven't finished, it could ruin. I never thought about that. You're right, because I was always excited to see her show up on the show. But you're right. If it could ruin Bad Batch, if you know already where that character ends up.
Well, I guess, but so
yeah,
go back.
So we have that whole concept of what now all of a sudden you're seeing Boba Fett as a kid, right, and you're getting an idea. And Daniel Logan did an amazing.
Oh, he does. He came back in Clone Wars actually.
Yeah, did the voice for young Boba Fett.
Yeah, it was really good. He did a good job. You got to see more of him. He's awesome.
The storyline where he tries to kill Mace Windu.
Yeah, because
he decapitated his father.
Yeah.
Oh
that
my
was really
God,
good.
It was so good.
Yeah.
And it was. I think Star Wars always teaches you to be a better man. Like that at the end of the day, like if I was to tell you how Star Wars impacted me growing up, it taught me to be a better person. Like that there is no place for hatred. There is no place for intolerance. Because at the end of the day, in a war, we're all side by side. We all need to be on the same side.
Well, it's also touched on it. If you The Last Jedi, it's also touched on about both sides are fighting for a reason and not just for one reason. You know, you may think this is your enemy, but they think you're the enemy too. So they're both fighting for the both sides. So. It's a nice look,
that
but
moment where like Mace Windu. Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No.
I'm so pumped about this subject.
But not only that, it also they also touched on the toys of Boba Fett. Like there's so many toys. Even the first action figure rocket pack that they found out this choking little kids are like, ooh, we should have put that in. And then they send like things like, if you do not like this, you can send it back for another creature. But he's been in so many toys. He was also in droids. He's been in Boba Fett's been in a lot of stuff. That's the thing I learned about the United States, right? In the United States, guns are legal, but a Boba Fett rocket pack is too dangerous. Well, we want to talk about that right now. But as we were saying,
Kinder eggs, Kinder surprises are illegal in the United States.
I know, it's weird.
Too dangerous, Daddy Rich. Too dangerous.
But as we were saying, this documentary really touched on a lot of stuff that we fell in love with.
I got emotional watching.
They also touched on the fact that the TV series is going to move in and talk about more. It's cool that he came back. They touched about how bringing him back to play Boba Fett again. He got to play Boba Fett at least a couple of times throughout the Star Wars series, more or less. And
for Mandalorian,
it was really good.
The big. So, like I said, there was always this rumor that Boba Fett had survived the Sarlacc pit,
of course,
right? Because of the expanded universe.
Yeah.
And then in Aftermath, which is the trilogy of novels written by Wendig, I believe his last name, which was the story after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
In 30 years before Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So, and you kind of get an introduction to Snap Wexley and all these cool characters, right?
Yeah.
And Mr. Bones, the droid, such a badass character. And so there was a little segment, and you actually in The Mandalorian, you got introduced to the sheriff, the marshal, right? So Timothy Oliphant's character, and then there was one chapter in Aftermath where you saw someone in Boba Fett's armor. And so we find out, of course, that that's the Marshal later on, but it was such a moment to hint towards where Dengar thinks he sees Boba Fett.
Ooh,
right?
Yeah.
So and so I believe in my heart of hearts that you were going to see Dengar in the Book of Boba Fett series. But the fact that, because I think Boba feels I think he feels betrayed by Dengar.
Yeah.
And so there might be something there. But
it's going to be interesting. It comes out once again December the 29th. We get to see the new series for Disney Plus, and Star Wars. They're doing amazing on TV. Like I have to say, we remember we had this debate: do you rather see movies or do you want to see TV shows? And I'm so far still, I want to see all of it, but I'm so far TV has been is my crack for Star Wars.
See, and this is where I have to agree with you. Like I still prefer to see Star Wars in a movie theater.
Yeah,
but one movie every 3 years.
Ooh,
and
I'd be like shaking like
every
this
other year.
I'd be shaking like this.
Right
now, I'm waiting for Boba Fett. I'm like shaking.
But that's the thing. Like I could see like a new TV series every year, and a new movie every 3 years.
Yeah,
that I could be really pumped about.
But we want to know your opinion about Boba Fett. Are you a big fan of Boba Fett? Did you have the action figures?
Who's not a fan of Boba Fett? Here's my question.
All right, go ahead.
Here's a question. I have a question for you. So when you saw in the season 2 of Mandalorian, when Boba Fett was finally revealed as being alive.
I want my armor back. Yeah.
I want my armor back.
I want my armor back.
Tamir Morrison is such an awesome
Take it off of my body.
Yeah. So when you saw him, how pumped were you?
I was so excited. When he put when he had the armor on and he started whooping some part of my French ass, I was like, what? It was like a John Wick moment. It was like, I was like sitting going, what?
He went into Din Djarin's ship.
He took
his armor,
put it on, and started becoming John Wick 3.5.
That whole episode was directed by Robert Rodriguez. And seeing him and Fennec Shan was amazing.
Oh, she was badass too.
She's so badass. And so I'm like, through the entire time you watch this show, like through a season,
she met his sister. She was going after his sister in that. That's kind of cool. She might show up. I have a feeling. If it doesn't ruin too much, I think you might see her show up. And I'll give it. Okay, so let's do this. How much do you give, like from 100 to 1 percentage? How much do you think you will see her? Like, do you give it 100 or do you give her 50? What percent do you say that you might see her in the Boba Fett? Go ahead. I'm
gonna go with a 50% chance we see her.
Ooh.
But I believe a 90% chance we'll hear her name.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay,
because I can see the series ending.
Yeah.
On a cliffhanger moment where Fennec Shand comes in to see Boba on his throne and says, "We found your sister."
Okay.
And then in that moment, that can lead to the next stage where now you can just know that she's still alive.
All right.
And then you still have no story though.
Mine is I'm gonna do. You said 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be on the safe side. I'm gonna say 40 that you see her in the series, and I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna do 90 that you might get the name of that person.
Just some reference.
At the end of the series. So that's mine. But we want to know your opinion once again. Leave a comment down at the bottom. Do you think that she will appear in Boba Fett or not? Let us know. The Book of Boba Fett. Let us know. Or you can email us once again at destinationhoth@gmail.com. Or you can leave a little comment on the Twitter page at
DHoth Podcast.
There you go. All right, let's get into our last part of the segment of the show. Let's say our favorite part that we love to do. And my buddy Jedi Day have some new stuff for our part, the game part. So we're going to do, let's say 3, and go from there.
All right,
go ahead. And it's what is it called again?
There is no try.
There is no try. The game. Let's do it.
All right. So this, just for those people who are listening for the first time, the point of this is there is no try. So we're going to present hot takes or possible scenarios of future storylines. And we will then say, we do not think that's going to happen, or we do think that's going to happen.
All right. This is going to be fun. Let's do it. Let's do it.
In Ahsoka, the TV series Ahsoka,
all right,
we will see a romantic storyline between Sabine Wren and Ezra Bridger.
What was it? Will not or will? What was it again? Will or will not?
You do think that will happen, or you do not think that will happen?
I do think it would happen.
See, I've always wondered if like because I think
think
it was
I do.
established that Ezra clearly had interest in Sabine,
Yeah,
but do we know whether or not Sabine had interest in Ezra?
I think it will happen. I do think
All
it
right.
is. All right. What do you think?
I agree.
I agree.
I think
Okay.
it's just too much of an awesome opportunity to
Not
see
to
these two
have it.
people
Yeah.
have like a romantic kiss. Like we need you need that romantic moment in every Star Wars story.
Everyone needs that romantic moment with my wife and everyone else.
Well, I mean, you got it in the original trilogy
Yeah.
between Han and Leia. You got it. I love. It's still like, it takes more than being held by you,
Well,
Captain, to make me excited. I'm sorry, Leia. I've got no time for anything else. Like that's meant.
But I have to say, also, like I'm watching now. This might offend people, but Star Trek right now, the new season just started for Star Trek Destiny, Discovery, and I love their relationship between because whoever's writing this was a Han Solo fan, and the love interest with the captain and her love interest, he's like Han Solo. He's like, baby, I'll be back. Take care of this shit for you. Like he's just. I just love the story. It's a great story. That's just me. Okay, throw it in. Okay.
I think one of the coolest things about Han too, we could actually make a whole episode on Han at some point in the
We
future.
should.
But I feel like one of the great things about Han is that Han taught us that we can still be a cool, badass, masculine guy without having to demean women and belittle women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like because I kind of grew up thinking.
You have to wait for we have to wait. We have to do the Han Solo one. No, don't talk about it now.
Okay, all right. Well,
give him a little pepper. Give him a little pepper.
Stay tuned for the Han Solo episode.
All right, what's next?
Absolutely.
Next one.
All right. Book of Boba Fett
Ooh.
will show the initial formation of Kanja Club. So, do you remember like Kanja Club, one of the gangs that were looking for Boba or Han Solo
I remember that.
in Force Awakens?
Yeah.
Well, one of the members of that group his name is Cronked Shand.
Yeah.
Which is the same last name as Fennec Shand.
Ooh.
So he needs to probably at some point be related to Fennec. So we could be seeing the initial formation of Kanja Club. Do you or do you not think that will happen?
I do think it's going to happen because if now we don't know if this is just going to be one episode or is it going to be two more episodes, we don't know.
2 seasons, like another
2 season or 3 season, whatever. I do agree that they should work more on that character, and I think that would be a good idea. So I do agree.
I agree with you. No. It is too much of an opportunity to kind of build another legacy, right?
Yeah.
Everything about Star Wars is family.
And they're a spinoff too. Come on.
Like she's so great.
Yeah.
And like Ming-Na Wen is so great.
Yeah.
Like oh my goodness.
All right. Next.
I applaud people like her too that actually love the fact that
she loves her story. She loves her storyline. She loves. She was in the Bad Batch alone too. So we don't even know how old she is. She's like
Ming-Na Wen or the character.
The character. We don't even know how old she is.
Doesn't matter. Ming-Na Wen is timeless.
All right, next.
She's like wine.
Next.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh geez.
Will reintroduce a former Legends character. So a character that had been in the expanded universe and thought to no longer exist in canon will now make a reappearance.
Qui-Gon Jinn
in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I could say
we would be looking at a character like say Mara Jade or something like that. I'm not saying her specifically, but a character that was.
I don't know. I will say not because if they are going to introduce someone, I think the big one will probably be Qui-Gon Jinn as a Force ghost. That would really.
Oh, you got me excited.
That'd be amazing. That would be like because think of it, Qui-Gon Jinn as a Force ghost, and Obi-Wan's been doing training to get into that spiritual and
teach you to commune with him.
Yeah, and
oh my goodness,
and then he pop up and say, it'd be so. Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. The other one I
say Obi-Wan, I have a special set of skills.
Yeah,
I'm gonna help you find your daughter.
But I'll give a nod for that one and a go for the Qui-Gon.
For former characters that are still in canon. Okay, yeah, I can agree with you on that. I'm gonna say no. As far as Legends character, I will agree, and then we'll see maybe the resurfacing of other characters, and it won't just be Hayden making a comeback.
All right, well, that's the end of our show for today. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Many ways to reach out to us. You can send us a comment at the bottom of our page here. You can send us an email of any ideas or any topics or any stories for the Destination Hoth podcast at destinationhoth@gmail.com. Once again, that's destinationhoth@gmail.com. And you can also follow us on our Twitter pages. What's our Twitter page?
Hoth Podcast.
And you can also find us on Instagram at our Destination Hoth Instagram page. That is Destination Hoth on our Instagram page. All right, follow us there. You get some great stories, get some great ideas. Once again, we were always looking for great ideas. If you guys have any ideas out there for us, let us know, because we want to be part of your life as much as you are part of our life, and much as Star Wars is part of our life too. So feel free to always drop us an email.
We're pretty easy to find out too. I mean, if you just Google Destination Hoth, I think you actually will get at least our Twitter feed and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's there. Now for my final saying, I want to say goodbye. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. Dave, what do you want to say to the lovely listeners out there?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for listening to our show. And remember, that's how we win, not by hating what we not by fighting what we hate, but by loving by saving what we love. I should get there at some point.
You gotta get there somewhat. Yeah. Once again, so stay tuned for next episode. We might do Han Solo or not. We'll figure it out. It's just something fun. Go check out Ghostbusters in theaters
just a couple
now.
Simple guys trying to make our way in the universe.
Well, our wives here are complicated.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your...
Our new theme song needs to be Complicated by Avril Lavigne.
Why you had to be so... All right, thanks very much. We're just getting crazy here. Have a great weekend, great week, great night, great morning. Whatever time you listen to us, thank you for tuning in to Destination Hoth, your source for your Star Wars info and craziness with two guys from Canada. Bye.
All right, peace.
Winter show, and I do the entertaining, thank you. Let's go out with something really hot for these folks. A big hit out of 77. Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Give me the Star